Guys, we're going to read a text today called The Very First Labor Day because we were just out of school on Monday, and we were out of school for a reason. We were out of school because it was Labor Day. So I would like for us to know something about Labor Day. I want to show you a short video about Labor Day. So we're going to watch this video together. You can also watch it on your own later if you want to.
The first Monday in September is Labor Day. It's a day to celebrate the American worker and the balance of work, rest, and play in our lives. Nowadays, the United States government guarantees its citizens a safe place to work, fair pay, and time away from our jobs to rest and play. But can you imagine a time when staying home on a weekend or taking a vacation could get a person fired? About 150 years ago, during the Industrial Revolution, when millions of people began working in factories, mines, or on railroads, they often worked 12 hours or more every day of the week, sometimes in dangerous conditions. Even children went to work. To fight the unfairness, groups of workers held marches, strikes, and protests across the nation to demand their rights to safety, rest, and fair pay. Their employers got the message, and eventually, the government passed laws requiring employers to keep workers safe and pay them a standard minimum wage. On June 28, 1894, the government established Labor Day as a national holiday in early September to honor those workers who fought for their rights, work that is safe for both body and mind. How do you balance work, rest, and play in your own life?
So hopefully this weekend you had a little rest and a little play maybe, and then a little work. So at school, we do those things. We work, and then we do rest a little bit, and we also play. I do want to add some vocabulary. This is some vocabulary we're going to see in the text. And so I would like for you to turn to the Social Studies notebook, and I would like for you to go to your vocabulary section that's in your Social Studies notebook. We're going to add some words that we see in the text. Okay, the first word that you're going to see is proposed. It means like to put forward an idea or a plan. I usually write the synonym down, the word that means the same thing. And the synonyms are suggest or present. So we could propose a plan, and we could also say we could present the plan. In the text, it says he proposed his idea to New York's Central Labor Union early in 1882, and they thought the holiday was a good idea too. If you could propose a holiday, what would it be? Okay, the next word I want you to pay attention to in the text is legislation. And that's laws that are considered together. So a synonym for legislation would be lawmaking. We have a branch of government called the legislative branch, which we actually are going to be learning about this week. You can pause this so that you can get these written in your notebook, because I know one thing, that your brain remembers more of what you write with your hand. Strange connection. Working conditions. The circumstances in which a person or staff works. So your working conditions could be the safety. You saw that they held marches because sometimes people were working very long hours and it was unsafe. In the environment you work in, like this picture, this guy's welding under the water. That looks pretty dangerous to me. His environment looks unsafe. His surroundings. And then the hours worked. That's part of working conditions. Is it a normal amount of hours, or are you having to work a lot of hours? Okay, so let's go to our text. And you have this in your folder, or you might have it on your canvas, and it's called The Very First Labor Day. Now, the first thing that you can do is just read the text. I think it's nice to read just to get the flow of the text first. We are going to be looking at questions today. So our question is going to be, how can I answer text-based questions? But I do want us just to read it first. It's very short. So we're going to read it first, and then we'll work on how to answer our text-based questions, because I can answer text-based questions. If you could create a holiday, what would it be called? What date would you choose for your holiday? Peter J. McGuire, a carpenter and labor union leader, was the person who came up with the idea for Labor Day. He thought American workers should be honored with their own day. He proposed his idea to New York's Central Labor Union early in 1882, and they thought the holiday was a good idea too. With 4 long months between Independence and Thanksgiving, Peter suggested a month halfway in between. But what date should they choose? The very first Labor Day was held on a Tuesday, September 5th, 1882, in New York City. The day was celebrated with a picnic, concert, and speeches. 10,000 workers marched in a parade from City Hall to Union Square. Soon after that first celebration, the holiday was moved to the first Monday in September, the day Americans still honor. Congress passed legislation making Labor Day a national holiday in 1894. Labor Day is not just a day to celebrate the accomplishments of workers. For some people, it's also a day to talk about their concerns and to discuss ways to get better working conditions and salaries. Okay, now I told you that we were going to work on answering text-based questions. So I can answer text-based questions, and let's look at our questions first. Okay, the first question is, when is Labor Day celebrated? All right, well, let's look at our text. We need to find, I think this is a right there in the text question that I can put my finger on, don't you? So let's see if we can put our finger on when the first one was celebrated. I know it's a date. All right, look right here. I'm going to highlight this little section so you can see it. The very first Labor Day was held on Tuesday, September 5th, 1882. So there's my first answer to a question. It is a green question. Green means it is right there. It's right there in the text. Tuesday, September 5th, 1882. So I'm going to go back and type it in. You can write it in or you can type it in. Tuesday, September 5th, 1882. Now you can write it in or you can type yours in also. Explain why Peter J. McGuire proposed the idea for Labor Day. Well, explain means to tell about. So tell about why Peter McGuire proposed the idea. And we said propose means like presented. So explain why he presented the idea. So let's go back because I might have to make an inference, but I can tell or explain why he came up with this. Here he is, Peter McGuire, a carpenter and labor union leader, was the person who came up with the idea for Labor Day. He thought American workers should be honored with their own day. Well, I didn't really even have to infer that. So first of all, he thought American workers should be honored with their own day. Well, then that's the answer, and it's green again because it's right there. So he thought American workers, so I'm going to type it in. He thought American workers should be honored for their own day. Now, what does that mean? Because I would like to know in your words. You know, I kind of always think that when you write something, you should know what it means. I'm going to take some of this line off right here. Okay. What does it mean to be honored? If I honor you, so I like say good things about you. If I honor you, I think that you do good things. So he thought they should be honored. Or maybe, I'm going to say this in my own way. So I'm going to erase honored. Maybe gifted. He thought they should be gifted with a day just for them. Okay. Explain how the first Labor Day was celebrated. Well, again, explain just means tell about. Tell about how it was celebrated. So let's go back to the text and find it. Now, I know it's probably going to come when we find the first Labor Day. So here was where we found the first Labor Day. Here's how it was celebrated. The day was celebrated with a picnic, concert, and speeches. 10,000 workers marched in a parade from City Hall to Union Square. So we don't want all of that. But tell me, explain how it was celebrated. So I'm going to add, there were what? Picnics and parties and parades. Whoops, I hit the wrong. Well, still hit the wrong. There we go. There were picnics, parties, parades. Does it sound fun? Yeah, you can say that. It was a lot of fun. I think I'll stick the word "and" in right there. Now, here's a question that it's going to be a text-based question, but it might not be one that I can just put my finger on. Why do you think New York's Central Labor Union accepted Peter's idea? Look back. Why would they accept his idea? This might be one of those questions that you have to find in several places in the text, and you might have to infer. So let's look up here. Peter McGuire, a carpenter and labor union leader. Okay, so he was a carpenter, but he was a labor union leader. Now that means something. Labor means what? Work. So that means he was a leader of workers. And a union, that's a group that helps people get fair working conditions. So it wasn't just any worker. He was a leader of workers. So I think they probably trusted him, don't you? Now I can infer that based on the text that I see right here. So I'm making my inference based on what I can see right here. So they probably trusted him because he was a leader of workers. See if there's anything else. That might not be all of it. Let's see if there's any other reason that they would have accepted his idea. Let's look at the bottom and see if there's any other reason. Soon after the first celebration, the holiday was moved to the first Monday in September, the day Americans still honor. Congress passed legislation making Labor Day a national holiday. Labor Day is not just a day to celebrate the accomplishment of workers. For some people, it's also a day to talk about their concerns and discuss ways to get better working conditions and salaries. So I'm going to go back up to the top because I do know something about Peter. He was a labor union leader. And union leaders help people get better working conditions. So do you think that he already was trying to do some of these things that the last paragraph talks about? He was probably already trying to get better working conditions. So I'm going to add that. Gracious, I'm having trouble typing. He was probably already trying to help workers with better conditions. Now, there's only one more, and I am not going to find this one for you because it is a word that we looked at in the beginning. So I can answer text-based questions by going back in the text and sometimes just putting my finger right on the answer, but sometimes thinking about what I just read and inferring the answer. Good luck with your last question.